All right, let's dive into one of the most brilliant and frankly, most frustrating logic puzzles ever created. It's a real brain twister, one that comes to us all the way from ancient Greece and has been tying philosophers in knots for centuries. We're talking, of course, about the Crocodile Paradox.
Just imagine this for a second. A crocodile snatches a child. The parent is pleading, and the crocodile, who happens to be a creature of pure, cold logic, makes this terrifyingly precise offer. This isn't just a riddle, you know. This is a binding contract, and the fate of the child hangs on a single prediction.
So put yourself in that parent's shoes. I mean, really think about it. Your child's life is on the line. What do you say? What is the one single correct prediction that guarantees you get them back? Well, that question is the very heart of this puzzle.
To really understand the trap here, we first have to break down the rules of this impossible bargain. This isn't about outsmarting a crocodile in the usual sense. It's about trying to navigate a perfectly designed logical minefield.
So, the scene is set. We've got a desperate parent on one side and a crocodile on the other who has laid down one single unbreakable rule. And the key, the absolute linchpin of this whole thing, is that phrase, if and only if. That little phrase creates what's called a biconditional premise. It's a strict logical bond between the parent's prediction and what the crocodile has to do.
When you boil it all down, the parent really only has two possible things they can say. They can either predict the crocodile will return the child, or they can predict it will not. Now, what's so fascinating here is that one of these answers is, well, it's logically safe. But the other one springs the trap and creates the paradox.
And this right here brings us to the core of the problem. It's that second choice, predicting the crocodile will not return the child, that just causes the entire logical system to completely collapse in on itself. Let's walk through exactly why that happens. Okay, so follow the logic with me here. The parent says, "You will not return my child. Let's game this out." The crocodile thinks, "All right, fine, I'll keep the child." But, wait a second. If it keeps the child, then the parent's prediction was actually correct. And according to the crocodile's own rule, a correct prediction means it must return the child. It is now logically forced to do the complete opposite of what it just decided to do.
So keeping the child is impossible. Okay, what about returning the child? Let's try that path. If the crocodile decides to return the child, then the parent's prediction, "You will not return the child," is now false. But remember, the rule specifically says the child gets returned only if the prediction is true. So by returning the child, the crocodile violates the very condition for returning it. It's completely trapped. No matter what it does, it breaks its own promise.
So what in the world is going on here? This isn't just a clever word game. There's a fundamental logical principle that's powering this whole dilemma. And that culprit? It has a name: self-reference.
Self-reference is what creates this impossible closed loop. See, the action the crocodile takes is what determines if the parent's prediction is true, but the truth of that same prediction is what determines the action the crocodile is supposed to take. It's this circular dependency that just completely short-circuits the logic.
And this just illustrates the breakdown perfectly. In formal logic, if we let R stand for return the child, the parent's prediction forces the rule to become R if and only if, not R. It's just impossible. A thing cannot be logically equivalent to its own opposite. The system has been given a command that it literally cannot process, and it just freezes. Now, the crocodile paradox isn't alone. It's actually part of a whole family of these kinds of paradoxes, called antinomy. It's a close cousin to the super famous liar paradox. You know, the sentence, "This sentence is false." But as you can see, there's a key difference. While the liar paradox breaks down in the world of semantics, of meaning, our crocodile fails in the domain of conditional obligation. It's about a promise, an action, that is logically forced to self-destruct.
And believe it or not, this isn't some new puzzle. It goes all the way back to the 4th century BCE, coming from the same school of Greek philosophy that gave us the liar paradox. It was so well known and influential that by the Middle Ages, people were using the words crocodilite and crocodility to describe this exact kind of brain-twisting, tricky reasoning.
So you might be thinking, okay, that's ancient logic. Surely with all of our modern tools, we can solve this thing. And you'd be right to think that. Logicians have tried to do exactly that, applying a really powerful analytical framework called game theory to see if they can point to a rational way out of this mess.
Game theory, in a nutshell, is basically the mathematics of decision-making.
It looks at the parent and the crocodile as two rational players in a game where each one is trying to get their best possible outcome based on what they think the other player is going to do. In game theory, the big goal is often to find what's called the Nash equilibrium. This is the point where both players have made their best possible move and neither one can do any better by changing their mind. It's supposed to be the most stable, most rational outcome of the whole situation. So what does game theory say? Well, the Nash equilibrium, the supposed solution, is for the parent to make that paradoxical prediction and for the crocodile to just keep the child. Now, why is that the rational move? Well, think about it. If the parent says, "You will return the child," the crocodile can just keep it, making the parent wrong and easily winning the game. So the parent's only real power move is to trigger the paradox. And from that position, the crocodile's most self-interested move is to just ignore the rule and keep the child. So at first glance, it seems like we have a rational, if pretty grim, answer. But hold on a second. If the crocodile follows the rational advice of game theory and keeps the child, then what happens? Well, the parent's prediction that the crocodile would not return the child was correct, which means, according to the original binding rule, the child must be returned. The so-called solution immediately violates the entire premise of the game. We're right back where we started. This failure shows us what some philosophers call a rationality gap. Even our most advanced models for making rational choices get stuck in the exact same loop. The most logical choice instantly becomes illogical, which then makes it logical again, and on and on and on, forever. There is no stable, rational move to make.
So if it's unsolvable, why do we even care? Why are we still talking about it? Well, because the whole point of the paradox isn't to find a solution. Its real value is in what its unsolvability tells us about the nature and the limits of logic itself.
Now, of course, people have tried to find all sorts of clever loopholes. Maybe the crocodile returns the child to a different part of the river. Nope, that violates the spirit of the deal. Maybe just waits a day before deciding. Well, that just kicks the can down the road. And my personal favorite is the practical escape. The parent just grabs a child and runs while the crocodile is busy doing logic puzzles. But fun as that is, none of these actually solve the core logical problem.
And here it is. This is the profound takeaway. The crocodile paradox is a perfect demonstration that any formal system of rules, whether we're talking about language, the law, or even computer programming, if that system allows for this kind of self-referential statement, it's vulnerable. It will always have a blind spot, a command it can't resolve, which proves that the system itself is either incomplete or inconsistent.
So the crucial point here is that this ancient puzzle is a really powerful cautionary tale. I mean, think about it in modern terms. A legal contract with a self-negating clause that makes it completely unenforceable. Or maybe an AI that's given a command that depends on it predicting its own future behavior. The moment you make an outcome dependent on a prediction of that exact same outcome, you risk a total system meltdown.
And that leaves us with a final, pretty big thought. This entire logical catastrophe was caused by a very simple promise, even if it was strangely worded. It really makes you wonder, if one clever sentence can tie all of logic into an unbreakable knot, what does that really say about the ultimate limits of any system of rules we could ever hope to create?